All right, we got a nice, fun exercise tonight, which is the meme exercise. No one is better at the meme than the right. I'm sorry. It just goes without saying. The left has no sense of humor. And you could tell they don't have any sense of humor. At least most of the folks that I know that vote left. They are very easily triggered and upset by people, places, and things. All right, for whatever that reason is, I don't. It's not 100% consistent all the time, but it is pretty consistent most of the time. So we got some good memes that they want me to see. So let's get a look at them, and I'm going to react as they come down the pikes. All right, so go ahead and let's pull up the first one. All right, what is it? Where does it say, bring me hostile freeloading assholes waving their own flag? Perfect! You can tell New York is the bastion for these kinds of problems these days. They just have these migrants that are running these moped robberies of folks with their cell phones. And once they grab your cell phone from you, which is the stupidest thing. I was just discussing this with my attorney last night. You got people walking through the streets of New York and they're on their stupid phones. So their phone is open. So these very well aware, street smart migrants, I'm going to call them migrants as opposed to infiltrators of our country, they don't come here bowing, kissing the ground and waving the flag. No, they're waving their own flags, and then they're hostile and they're freeloading, right? So they're getting free credit cards from Hochul and Adams in New York City, free housing, free phones, and then you have these others that came across the border. Maybe Trump wasn't wrong when he was saying Mexico, Venezuela, those South American countries. They're not sending their best. There are good people that are coming along the border from other countries for asylum. But how often? They're leaving their countries to come here and what? Make us look ridiculous? You're walking with your phone open. They come by on a moped. They rip the phone out of your hand. And now the phone is open. They've got access to your bank account. They've got access to your name, your address, where you live. And then what they do is they steal that information. They hack it up. Then they send the phone to Venezuela or South American countries. And then they start hacking up the phone and then selling the phone. It's ridiculous. So you don't come here waving your own flag. I said to people, it's like you don't get traded from the Boston Celtics to the Los Angeles Lakers and then show up game one with the Lakers wearing your Boston jersey. You wear the jersey of the team you're on. And that's Team America, the best team to be on. Not perfect. Not a perfect union. We're working every time that something goes wrong. We try to learn from it and get better. But we're always trying to work on it. All right. And if this country was so terrible, why are these people trying to have asylum here to live in worse situation? Give me a break. All right. What do you got next? Bring it up for me. So 19-year-olds shouldn't have to pay student debt because they can't understand the student loans they sign. But a 4-year-old can change gender whenever they feel like it. Got it. And there you have it. There you have it. What essentially are we saying here? Well, we're saying that somebody who's 18, 19 years old, of their majority, they can't understand what they've signed up for in a student loan. They are old enough to be able to understand, read text, process, go talk to people, make an informed decision. I don't understand about my student loan. You mean I had to pay it back? No, they can't understand that. But because they're 18, 19, they don't get it. They're not old enough to understand. But they can understand at 4 or 5 or 7 or 9. I can understand that I'm a boy, but I'm really not a boy. I'm a girl, so I am smart enough to make an informed decision that I want to have a sex identity change. Now, I'm old enough to understand that. And people that actually feed into this narrative, it's just silly and ridiculous. Right? I mean, there's just enough science out there to prove that if left to their own devices, at some point people will grow out of this identity confusion and just learn by the time they're 18, 19, 20, they're just gay. They're just gay. All right? But again, it's just that's just some of the drill down on that. But the bottom line just simply is it's just reality pulled inside out. An 18, 19-year-old does not understand what they've obligated themselves to a student loan, but a 4-year-old does understand what they're obligating themselves to in such an unimportant decision with respect to hormones and identity changes with surgeries, etc. At 4, you do understand that. I can understand. I get that. Let's go on. All right, so here we are. So basically, people who claim Trump would crash the economy and start World War III have crashed the economy and started World War III. Don't you remember Hillary Clinton and the legacy media saying this? This guy with the nuclear codes, he's going to start World War III. And our democracy, that's the best thing now. That is now the newest messaging from the left. Democracy's on the ballot. Democracy's at stake. Our whole way of life is now at risk because Trump is going to be a dictator on day one. Yeah. All right. So it's always about the fear campaign. So they said, and that was the part of the fear campaign circa 2016, when they said Trump with the nuclear codes are going to start World War III. Well, you didn't have, and listen, you got to call it the way you see it. It's on Biden's watch. You got Russia invading Ukraine. You've got South Korea, North Korea, not on talking relations right now. You've got China making saber-rattling statements about acquiring, moving into Taiwan, moving ships, buzzing planes. Right? You have migrants, illegal immigration from the south coming across the border. All of this is going on during Biden's watch. During Trump's watch, yeah, it was tough talk. Sometimes it's a little bit crass, it's a little bit curt, it's a little bit nasty, it's a little bit not nice, but go by the facts. He walked across the DMZ between North and South Korea. There was no movement of Russia going into Ukraine. He had every participant in NATO paying up, okay? Because we're going to put our lives on the line in military action to defend any other NATO country that could be attacked. Well, we have to step up. Well, everybody has to pay their fair share and into NATO. Okay, we can't just be the only ones at risk paying and then putting, U.S. lives on the line. And the economy was going straight up. What was your 401k? What did your Roths look like? What did your mutual funds? How were those things doing? The economy was just booming. It was just crazy. And there was a palpable feeling of that. So you may not like him, but again, everybody said he was going to cause, everybody from the left said he was going to cause all the problems that we are currently experiencing now. It always seems to be about projection, just an opinion. Let's go on. Okay, and what do you got here now? And just like that, Democrats brought back the 1918 pandemic, the 1929 depression, the 1968 race riots, and the 1973 gas lines, all at the same time. Well, I like to call balls and strikes, as you know. So it's funny. It's funny if you're obviously you're not a hard right, like an alt-right kind of guy, but you're somebody on the right. Obviously, you think, oh, that's funny. I don't think the Democrats were responsible for, the pandemic. I do think that China didn't want to have to deal with 4 more years of Trump and unleashed this on the world to bring Trump down, and successfully did it and got in Biden a little bit more of an amenable party that is not pressuring them. Probably and likely because they have something on him. He probably has done dirty business through Hunter and these shell companies. There's some 32 shell companies out there. Follow the money. So somewhere China's involved there. So I don't think that the Democrats brought on the pandemic. I think that China just thought, and again, I'm a total moron. Don't listen to what I'm saying. But it just seems to make sense to me that if you can get Trump out of office and you could find a friendlier administration to work with, or one that really will just leave you alone, you can get back to the dirty business as it turns out. Now, I wouldn't say that we're in a depression right now. I mean, the market, if you're Biden, you got to be taking a victory lap, and he's not. I don't know why. That the market's seen some record highs, and unemployment is historically low. I don't know what the labor participation rate is. I don't know what the outlook is for the economy, even though you have, J.P. Morgan and other financial like Fidelity and Schwab and all these other companies that follow the market have an outlook that things could come crashing down in next year. I don't know what crashing down means per se, but you still have all this inflation. January 2024, they also had higher inflation rates, crashed the market. The market was down like 500 points over the last couple of days. So you don't see things in a depression state, but you do see that things are moving but not moving. People have record amount of credit card debt. It's unsustainable, the debt that people are in. And then the interest rate on financing these credit lines and and the debt service is just untenable. It just cannot remain. So who knows where it goes from there. Now, mind you, the summer of love in Seattle during the chop zone and Minneapolis being burnt to the ground, during the George Floyd riots, because you got one cop who decided to just screw it up for everybody and just either abuse power or just not say, well, he's on the ground, he's under control, I don't need to put my knee on this guy. So and all that did was bring back billions and billions of dollars of damage done and the continued erosion of race relations. Just the worst thing that could be for the country. But again, the left likes to also slam the race card, play the identity politics, and continue to divide because it pays. It just pays to do it. And it's funny about the gas lines. I mean, of course, it's a meme. It's just being ridiculous. But, of course, when you're paying, record high numbers for the most part on gas and energy and food and these other things, you can understand why people live paycheck to paycheck. So to have all these things going on in the last 3 to 4 years at the same time, you just can't keep blaming Trump. As sooner or later, you got to take ownership of everything going on in the economy yourself. Crazy. All right. Next. All right, here we go. Bring it up. Oh, it's getting rough in here. Dear trans community, don't tell me I have to accept you for who you are when you couldn't accept yourself for who you were. Oh, nasty. It's just amazing. It has to be. Again, it is an illness. It is some type of I don't want to know what you want to call it. It's some type of a mental illness. I know that it tends to be classified as a dysmorphia, an identity disorder, and it's got to be somewhere where neurologically this happens, where the body and the brain are just not in harmony and congruence. And that must be a horrifying thing if you feel like you're a woman, but in fact, you're a male. But again, this is always the big thing. The trans community is, have, suicidal ideations and a high rate of suicide. I think in the trans community is like 40%. So, and it's not because people don't accept them or don't accept their lifestyle. There's something else. There's something else that is stimulating the ideation. But then everybody else that may not accept that lifestyle for religious reasons or otherwise, I personally don't care. You live your life how you see fit. Just don't suck me into what I hate to say is the delusion. Because, if I look across the street and see a dog running around, it's a dog. I don't go up to it and say, oh, hi, ruff, and he starts going, meow. That's a cat. I didn't realize that from across the street. I can see with my own two eyes. It's a dog. It's a dog. Okay, so I know that if I see a trans, more than often, unless they're a ladyboy, from the Philippines, you can almost point out that is a man dressed like a woman or a woman living their life as a man. Good, do it. Okay, but just don't suck all the rest of us into your reality, because your reality is not reflective of reality. It is your reality. So understand, live your life as you see fit. Just don't drag us all into it and then shame us if we don't want to play along with you. I think real simple. Just my opinion. Next! Okay, how about just one more? I know we got a whole bunch of them. I don't want the video to get too long. So let's just pull up one more. And we'll do one more, and the rest of we'll do next time around. So pull it up. What do you got for me? In 2018, Democrats shut down the government and stopped Trump from getting $5 billion to build a wall. This year, New York City is spending $10 billion to house illegals. That's just one city in 1 year. You're some kind of special stupid. True. Totally true. Yeah, I mean, listen, you have a fence at home. You lock your door. You have a car. When you leave it, do you lock it? I know we have to lock it, even in our own community. We live in a nice community on the east end of Long Island. You got people coming through the gate to vehicles that are unlocked and stealing stuff out of vehicles. So what do you have to do? You have to have the gate, you have to have security, and then you have to have your own secure personal security. You lock your own doors. So how is it that we're allowing, unless it's some insidious, diabolical plan to swing or change the electorate somehow, you're leaving the door wide open on the southern border? How does that make sense? And you like him, hate him, you think he's right, you think he's wrong. The guy is prophetic back in 2015 talking about illegal immigration being a talking point and something that changes the complexion of the country, not only ideologically, but from the standpoint of other countries don't see that we have a strong border and that we are securing our nation from people that would do us harm. You have terrorists that have found their way across the southern border because it's porous and coming through. You have people that are claiming asylum, but they come here as single men and are perpetrating crimes in the city with these moped gangs. And then what they do is they're flashing the bird when you had 8 of these guys attack these 2 cops, I believe down in Brooklyn, or if it was in the middle of Manhattan. And then they're kicking and punching the cops. They get arrested because they found them. And then they're out no bail. And then they run, they leave the state. What kind of a message does that send everywhere else? So you need a solid border. You took one solid investment and you cut off the head of the snake. And we can limit how many people are coming in, and then we can vet them one by one to make sure that we've got people coming in that are going to need true asylum, true help. We can flush out who is got good intentions and bad intentions, and then we got to make sure that they're going to become part of the fabric of the United States. You're leaving your country behind. You're leaving your team to join Team America. Otherwise, you need to go back. Walk back across the border, go through that big, beautiful door in the wall, like Trump said, and go back to where you came from. Because if you come here, you're joining Team America, and you're going to make this team better. It's so hard to understand. Where do you vote for me?